This interview is sponsored by Burn Up Coaching in the 21-Day Challenge. If you are an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you're feeling overwhelmed, lost, stuck, confused, not being your greatest possible self, you're missing the fire in your life, the 21-Day Challenge is here to reignite you, reignite your self-belief and passion so you can succeed like never before. Get you back into alignment with your goals, get clarity on them, break them down into bite-sized steps, and hold you accountable to achieve your top priorities. So that's a 21-day challenge. It's a lot of fun. Definitely send me a message if you are ready to learn more and have your best 21 days ever. Chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook and message me there. Next is the iTunes review of the week, and it's by Hannah1125. And Hannah says, always a nugget. Chris shows up with such authentic interest in the guest and the audience. Every single show has a golden nugget that I can start implementing in my life right away. It feels like Chris really believes we can all become our greatest self and consistently shows us how. If this isn't in your ear, you're missing out on loads of inspiration, action, and your own greatness. Thanks so much, Hannah. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can give us a review there. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. So the theme of today is integrity and your word. And this is something that's super near and dear to my heart because a lot of my training and personal development has been around integrity. So integrity really is for Burn It Up Coaching, for our company, it's doing what you said you were going to do most of the time. Almost every time you do it, you follow through, and that is who you are. You are your word. And of course, there's some times where life happens, emergency happens, and you're not able to follow through. And 99.9% of the time, you're following through on what you said you were going to do. Now, there's also more definitions that I like to expand upon personally, which is integrity being a state of whole, complete, and perfect. Okay, and I really got a lot of this definition, these ideas and philosophies from Landmark. Super, super big inspiration for me. And really, the power of integrity is when you give your word, you follow through. It's knowing what you said and following through on that. It's knowing what's expected of you and following through on that. It's knowing what your intention was and following through on that. So it's really when you're achieving something, when you're out to achieve something, it's what you literally said, it's what you expect of yourself, it's what others expect of you, and if those aren't being met, then you have to be in communication and change what the expectation is, whether it's your own promises to yourself, whether it's your promises to other people, whether it's other people's expectations of you. You really have to be aware and present and cognizant of what is your word being given to. Now, some of this language might be a little unfamiliar or strange to you. It's creation language, okay? And we create with our words. You might have heard the philosophy, so to speak, or the relationship of spelling, right? Spelling a word and spell. Like a magical spell, like casting a spell. When you spell a word, you're casting a spell. When you say words, you're casting spells. You're creating, or casting spells, or creating, whatever you want to call it. And you can see that your words have an impact in this universe. When you say them, energy goes out into the world, into the universe. So it's really important that you become aware of how powerful your words are in the universe, in shaping the world around you, in creating. Your words create. So it's really, I love this topic of integrity and your word because they go hand in hand. Your word being the creation, being, in the Bible it says, in the beginning there was God, and God was the Word, or something like that. I'm not a super in-depth scholar of the Bible, but it's along those lines, right? In the beginning there was the Word. The Word of God was what there is and was, and because the Word was so powerful, it created, it spoke into existence. Now think about that, because I have gotten so precise and intentional with my language and my words because I know it's creating and shaping my reality. So I know if I want to be my best self, my greatest possible self, one of my biggest values in life is growth, then I get to really be intentional with the words I use because every word makes or breaks me, so to speak. If I'm not growing, I'm dying. If I'm using words that are low vibration, low energy, they're going to cause me to lower in my stature, lower in my growth, lower in my progress. So I have an example for you. When I was going through a phase in my life where I was getting into trouble and I was just trying to prove that I was worthy enough, and I was drinking and partying and all these kinds of things, like, I had a relationship with my word that it didn't matter. Like, what I said really at the end of the day doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Okay, this is before personal development, before I'd started learning these concepts, and I had a relationship with, one, my word, that it didn't matter, and also, two, with myself, that I didn't really matter. Like, well, it doesn't really make a difference. What I say, how I show up, how I act doesn't really make a difference. I'm not really of any consequence to anyone in my life. You know, I don't really matter. I don't make that much of a difference. I'm just getting by in life. Nobody really pays attention to me. Nobody really cares about me. So there was this mindset of, I was insignificant, and the words and actions that I took and spoke were insignificant as well. Now, I'm curious how many of you have felt that way before, have felt like you're insignificant, have felt like you're not enough, like you're not worthy, and a byproduct of that is a lack of intentionality and respect and care for your actions and the words that you say. So, for example, here's some more examples. So I didn't really care about my body, so I would go drink and party and put nasty things in my body that would harm me. They would really cause damage to me, but I didn't care. First of all, I didn't even know the real impact and the real damage and the real consequences of the things that I was doing. But second off, like, I didn't care what they were, because I felt like I was invincible. I felt like I didn't matter. I had a poor relationship with myself, my word, my body, all these kinds of things. So ask yourself, what is your relationship with yourself, first off? Do you have a great relationship with yourself? Do the things you say and do matter? And if they do matter, check in. This goes to integrity now, because now we were talking about your word and your relationship with your word. Do you value your word? Is it important to you? And now let's go into your integrity, because if you say you care and you say it matters and you say your health and your wellness is important to you, are your actions backing that up? Are your actions correlating with that care and that respect that you supposedly have? Maybe you do, maybe you follow through, maybe you're completely on it and laser focused, and more than likely, you say it matters and you say you care, and you get in your own way and you self-sabotage and you find ways to not follow through and not honor yourself in integrity. You don't really have integrity in some areas. We're all out of integrity in certain areas of our life. We might think that we have perfect integrity. We might think that everything is always good, and there's nothing wrong with being out of integrity. It's just the state of whole, complete, and perfect, the state of workability, the state of things operating as they were designed or intended to. So imagine this. In your life, you're playing a big game. You're out to accomplish big things. You want to impact the world in big ways. You are going to make promises and not fulfill on them. It's going to happen. Most of the time you'll fulfill. Most of the time you'll follow through. You're a high performer. You're a high achiever. And there will definitely be times where you're playing such a big game that you can't keep it all together, just because it's life. Life is chaotic. Life is messy. Life is going to throw curveballs at you and things that you don't predict. Now, our intention is to be there to catch everything when it's falling, to be there to spot the challenge or issue before it ever happens, before it ever comes to that point. And the fact of life is, no matter how much you prepare, there's going to be things that you didn't prepare for. Life is just random and loves to be a game and play that game with us. So the integrity, it's always something you're working on. And I found it so fit to focus integrity and your word in this episode, in this podcast creation, especially on the marathon. The marathon, it's January 9th today, so it's still at the beginning of the year, and by the time this comes out, it'll most likely be middle of February. And the conversation of, are you in integrity with your goals? Are you in integrity with what you said you were going to do? for the new year? Are you still keeping that momentum? Are you still, with every intention and desire that you set for the new year, are you following through on that? And if not, what can we do about it? That's what we're going to be talking about today, is like, really, are you following through? Are you in integrity? How do you know if you're in or out of integrity? And what can you do about it moving forward? So one place I really love to look is like your personal power, right? Your personal power of, do you feel empowered? Do you feel alive and aligned? Do you feel like you are creating your reality in an empowered way, in an aligned, connected, and empowered way? Because if you don't feel like you are the creator, if you don't feel like things are going well for you, if you know that there's areas and aspects of your life that aren't going as well as you'd like them to, then you get to look at integrity. That's really one of the very first places to start looking, to get the awareness of how you're doing, to check in, to have a gauge, a barometer in life. And especially when it comes to, okay, I'm setting a goal for New Year's, I'm setting a goal for this quarter, even doesn't matter, this week, this quarter, this month, whatever, New Year, 2019, 2020, 2018, whatever the time period is. If you find that you're not being powerful with that goal, then most likely you're out of integrity. If you're not following through, if you feel like there's a leak in the container, if you feel like there's a leak in your power source, in your ability to follow through, in your knowingness that you are who you say you are, then it's likely that you're out of integrity. So if you are focusing on a goal, let's say, of earning lots and lots of money, say 6 figures in the first quarter. 6 figures, you're out to earn 6 figures in the first quarter of 2019. And you're like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do 6 figures in 2019? And you create a plan. It's a brilliant plan. It makes total sense. It's logical. And then when it actually comes to showing up and doing the work and following through on what you put in your calendar, put on paper, put in the schedule, you don't do it. Then you are out of integrity. Then you got something to look at there. There's your power is leaking, because if it logically made sense and you prepared and it all like looked good and you created this roadmap, but you don't follow through, then there's something to look at. Now, this might be something with your health. You might be out of integrity in your health. You might be out of integrity in your finances. You might be out of integrity with relationships that are close to you, loved ones. You might be out of integrity with your other commitments, your responsibilities, your duties. What do you know to do that you haven't yet done? Maybe it's cleaning your house, cleaning your closet. Maybe you got a bunch of stuff that's a mess and you're not following through on that. So you have a relationship with yourself that you're not trustworthy, that you can't be trusted, or that you're not someone who follows through. You make promises and you don't follow through on them. You really got to start being aware, self-aware, and analyzing what is the source of this ineffectiveness? What is the source of this block, this problem, this challenge, this lack of results in my life? And you get to start taking an inventory. And there's a lot of different ways and processes that you can really start to look at this, but it's first having the awareness of, okay, are things going the way that you want them to? If not, if they are, good, keep going. If not, though, you really want to take a look at your life and say, where am I out of integrity? Is there a relationship that I am not being responsible for? Am I not getting complete on something? Are there people who you owe money to? Are there opportunities for you to really step up in your contribution to the people around you? Maybe you're supposed to be like taking out the trash every week and you're not doing that. You're making your significant other do that. Or maybe there's things in your house that you are not getting complete on. You're not doing the projects. You're not painting. You're not doing the remodel. You're not doing the thing in the backyard. Maybe there's a savings plan that you're supposed to be doing, but you haven't yet started or engaged in. What are those things that you're supposed to be doing that you're not yet doing? And if you feel like you're not creating your reality with power, then it's likely that you have an issue in one of these areas. Incomplete relationships are a huge one, right? Like a relationship with your parents that is not yet healed. There's resentment, there's guilt, there's shame. If there are those things, most likely people are trying to bury those feelings and those emotions down. And that's not an integrity. It's not an integrity to bury things down, to avoid, to hide, to numb, to run. Okay, so that's out of integrity. So look at your life and ask yourself, where can I strengthen my integrity? Maybe you have great integrity in a lot of areas and you just know that there's a next level for you. What are some areas that you can really double down on your integrity and making sure that your promises are pristine and you're following through on those so that you are like laser focused? And you trust yourself, yourself, you're able to follow through with yourself and keep those promises to yourself. That's huge. That's huge in really restoring the power of your word. So with your word, you get to give your word and make promises. Are you someone who makes promises easily and gives your promises all over the place? And then when it actually comes to following up and following through, are you someone who follows through completely? Are you someone who does a 90% kind of a job? Are you someone who maybe forgets the promises that you made and you don't really stay on top of them? And people have to remind you, and things come in late, and you miss bills and miss payments and miss agreements, miss meetings, miss times that you scheduled with people. Look at your life. Really become aware. Because that's where the power is going to be in 2019. Really making this your best year ever. Your power is going to be saying you're going to do something and then doing it. One of the examples that I love of empowering myself is when I say I'm going to do something and then I make it publicly accountable. I put it on Facebook or something like that. One of the examples last year in 2018, January, is I said I was going to go on Facebook Live out to Santa Monica and record myself asking beautiful women for a kiss. Okay? And this was something I wanted to challenge myself to. I wanted to grow myself. I wanted to expand my courage and be able to do anything I set my mind to. So I went out to Santa Monica and I did it and I filmed myself and I got a huge sense of empowerment because I did what I said I was going to do, even though it was uncomfortable. And I'm like live on the video, squirming and being so uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks. I suck at this, all this self-talk and really just being super uncomfortable with it. And because I made the commitment and I was video recording myself out to Facebook Live, and there's a bunch of people commenting. It was like, gosh, it was nuts. Definitely one of my most tuned into videos ever. Because I did that though, I had to follow through. There was no other option for me. Once I pressed live, there is no other option. I'm following through. I'm doing this or I'm dying trying. I'm doing this or, it's like midnight and everyone goes home or, whatever happens, I'm going to do this until, because I said I was going to do that. So that's one example of me following through because I made a public declaration. I also want to talk about how our relationship with our word and how we think other people see us also determines how we show up. Okay, so let me write down a note. Function of others, POV, point of view. Cool. So another example, and by the way, because I did that, and I gained that courage and I broke through that resistance and did it and got uncomfortable, I attracted the woman of my dreams the very next month, right? I met her a month later or less than a month later in Vegas. I went out to Vegas for a mastermind and met the woman of my dreams. So shout out to the woman of my dreams. I love you. You are the most amazing queen ever, honey. Love you. So another example of that was when was it, 2017, I made a commitment that I would not drink. I would not drink alcohol. I would not drink any caffeine. I would not masturbate. Right? I said I wouldn't do these things. Drug and alcohol free. And basically abstinence and abstain from these things. I said I would do it for 30 days, and I made a post about it, and I shared about it, and it totally opened up a new level of self-expression and being able to just be myself and share what's important to me and what matters to me. And it was super powerful, and I know a lot of people saw that and have tuned into more of my stuff because I shared that. So I was super, super grateful that I did that. And of course, for the month I didn't do any of those things, and it was super powerful. It was super empowering to strengthen my word by saying I was going to do something like that. In December of last year, 2018, I said on the 12/12/18 that I was not going to drink and be drug and alcohol free for 2019, from that point through 2019. And it's, January 9th, definitely going strong. We'll continue to go strong. We'll continue the year, finish the year drug and alcohol free, and super, super grateful for that. And it's just like giving my word to something. Always, my opinion is always give your word to some kind of game that disciplines you, right? You get to give your word to a game. Play a game in life. These are all games that I play with myself, and it doesn't mean that it's not serious. It doesn't mean that it's trivial. It doesn't mean that it's childish or anything like that. A game means that, there's clear, measurable objectives, there's rules, there is an outcome that I'm going for. And it's a way to frame it so that you want to play. Because you want to play a game. You want to play a game that you are out to win, that you're out to succeed at, that you're out to be fulfilled by. And that's something that I've really taken on and adopted, that life is a game. It doesn't mean that it's not serious. It doesn't mean that it's trivial. It doesn't mean that, you don't have to participate or it doesn't matter or anything like that. That's not what game means. Game just means there's a specific set of rules and outcomes and things that you are intending on, objectives for the game. And to play the game means that you're aware of the score, you know what's happening, you know what's going on. Jane says gamification. Yes, I love it. Jane. Yeah, absolutely. Like gamifying your life, creating rules, creating objectives, milestones, opportunities to celebrate, different rewards for winning. And really, though, it's about like creating a structure, creating a context to live life and achieve and become what is meaningful and important to you. That's really what a game is all about. So I highly invite you to play more games, to play the game of, hey, I want to play the game of, earning $100,000 in quarter 1 of 2019. What does that take? Or quarter 2 if you want to prepare and, it's in February when you're listening to this, or it's now in, January 9th, whatever the case might be. What's the game that you want to play? Create for me and the woman of my dreams, my girlfriend. Our game is to move into our Phoenix Palace by March, right? By March, and we're moving into our Phoenix Palace by March, and that's a game, and there's clear, measurable objectives. We, have to schedule a moving truck. We have to figure out what the exact expenses are of moving and the new house, and how much we have to save up, and all those things. So it's like we're playing that game and creating the structure to achieve that result. Okay, so it also makes it more fun. It also makes it more not as much pressure, not as much shame and guilt if you don't win. It's a game. It's like you either win or you lose. You know the scoreboard. You know how you're doing. You know if you're making the progress that you're supposed to be making, or if you need to adjust your game, you need to adjust your rules, you need to adjust your approach, your strategy, whatever. But it creates more of a empowering, uplifting, progressive environment to be able to succeed. So super powerful. Also, what Jane Baquin mentioned in the comments is gamification. So it's like really creating milestones, creating objectives, rewards, talking about leveling up, experience points. How do you reward yourself for the progress that you're making? Super, super powerful. Janice says, I was just talking to my business accountability partner about this exact thing, creating a game with our goals so we can have fun and a lighter feel. Yes, I love it. I love it, Janice. That's 100% what we're talking about here. So I wanted to focus on the game a little bit and just circle back around to public declarations are big, or the declaration to someone who you trust, right? Like a mastermind member, mastermind group, a business coach, life coach, an accountability partner, your significant other, if that's someone who holds you to account and you promise these things to. So be aware of the game and what's the game that you're playing. Also, if you're not getting in the results in life that you desire, remember that you're always winning the game that you're out to play. Okay? So let's say you are not happy with your results. You feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're overwhelmed. You feel like you're not making the progress in your health, your relationships, your wealth, whatever. You are always winning the game that you're out to play. So you might think that you're out to really play the game of I want, a sexy six-pack this quarter. And that's the game you think you're playing. And if you're not making the progress on it and you're not winning, then what you're actually doing is you're winning a different game, probably an undeclared game, a game that you don't even know that you're playing, called Stay Safe, a game called Stay Comfortable, a game called Keep Everyone at a Distance, because if I get too close, then I will be vulnerable and I'll get hurt. So if you're not winning the game and you've attempted to do this, or if you're not experiencing the results in life that you want, you might be winning the game that you're playing, but you don't even know that you're playing it. Maybe the game is to stay under six figures, just under six figures, because if you get to six figures, then, you believe, you have a subconscious but limiting belief that everything will crash and burn and fall to the ground. Or maybe once you get to six figures, you are too powerful and like power is bad, whatever it might be, right? We all know money is good, money is empowering, power when used the right way and influence when used the right way is good, and it's uplifting, and you get to make a difference and a huge contribution to the people around you. So go out there and be as successful as you possibly can, because the more success, the more opportunities, the more you uplift yourself, the more you grow, the more you're an example for your community, for the people around you, the more choices, the more opportunities, all of it, okay? So I just wanted to reinforce that. She said, oh, that's powerful. What's up, Ani? Ani is coming on here in a bit. By the way, I wanted to remind y'all, she's going to be coming on at 12, talking about Find Your Soul's Agenda, the one word that will make your whole life a success. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then also during her hour, we're going to be playing the GPS games at the 15, 30, and 45-minute mark throughout all the guest interviews today, where you have a chance to win a free self-help book. So make sure you register for that as well. It'll be a lot of fun, definitely. Now, back to this awesome conversation. I want to talk to you about another thing, which is, I've talked about it before, and it's super, super important to me, and should be to you as well. And it's the aspect of, it's the life, it's the law. I believe it's a law. I believe it's a principle. I believe it's a mechanism that's operating in our universe, and that is, we are a function of how we show up is a function of how we think other people see us, how we believe other people see us, how we perceive other people see us. So here's a great example. If I grew up in a house and, the whole time my parents said, Chris, you can do anything you want. You can do anything to succeed that you want. Like, oh my gosh, you are so powerful. You're so enlightened. You're so brilliant. You're so genius. You are resourceful. You are tenacious. That is the belief pattern set that will form in me. My parents did everything they could to help me succeed and empowered me to do that. So I grew up with that. I'm a function of that. That's my programming. That's what got instilled in me. Okay. On the contrary, if someone grows up in a house and the whole time their parents are saying, you can't do it, you suck, you are a loser, you are, a troublemaker, you will probably be in jail by the time you're, 16, 18, whatever, then that person is probably, going to be getting in trouble, going to be getting into gangs, going to be getting into violence, different things like that. We're a product of our environment, right? And our environment consists of a lot of different things. It could be physical environment, could be people environment, could be, a lot of different aspects of how you're being programmed. And specifically, I want to focus on the conversation of other people. Okay, so now going back to the example of my parents, they gave me all this empowering, uplifting programming growing up. They said I can do it. Anything I set my mind to, you got this, Chris. I believe that. I own that. I move out to go to college at 19 years old, right? 19 years old or whatever, 18, 19. I go to college, and now I move into college and I get into, let's say, a fraternity, right? I get into a fraternity, and they say, because I'm a newbie, in the fraternity, they say, man, Chris, you are a loser. You're such a wiener. You're such a, just, oh my gosh, like, just go stay in a trash can because you don't deserve anything. Like, oh my gosh, you're like scrawny, you're weak, you're, you got these big head, whatever, right? Whatever they say. And I'm in their fraternity, and I really value my peers, for example. I value my peers' opinion and perspective of me. If I do that, and I go into this group, and I go into this fraternity, and I really listen to them, and I really embody and adopt their beliefs, then I will start to become that person. No matter how much I try to resist it, if I'm constantly subjecting myself to that, and there's things written on my wall that say, Chris, you're a loser, da-da-da, I will start to believe that. Because I believe that other people see me like that. Man, there's this fraternity, and I know my parents said that I can do anything and I'm successful, and no matter what I come up against, I'm better than that, and I'm in this fraternity, and they're telling me I'm a loser, and they tell me I can't do anything, and they tell me I can't plant great plants, and I can't cook great hot dogs and hamburgers. Man, I must be a terrible student, a loser, whatever it might be. So I become a product of that environment. And it's important that you become aware of however you're showing up today. However you're showing up today is a function of how you think other people see you. So let's take it more practical and real. Because I created this 12-hour marathon, I've interviewed 450 leaders, role models, experts, people who are changing the world. Because I've created this, I now have a definition of myself as an interviewer, as a public speaker, as someone who's competent, who asks great questions, who's curious, who's, I care about people. I care about making people shine and show up as their best. All these different things, that has been developed in me because I created this 12-hour marathon, because I am a product of how I believe other people see me. And not only have I interviewed amazing guests who respect me and appreciate me and who love me and say I'm doing amazing work in the world, I also have the audience, you listening right now or watching. You are a function of how I see myself. And the more people who give me that feedback of, Chris, you're doing amazing work, they give testimonials, you give me accolades, you say, this is awesome, you create videos saying, Chris, you're awesome, you're doing amazing work. The more I get gifts and people sending me, different samples of their products and people saying thank you for the work that you do, all these different things, thank you letters. The more I see myself as someone who's making a freaking contribution in the world, a big, big freaking difference, right? And of course, it all starts with me, with the desire to see and feel that in myself. I had to want to grow and see that greatness within myself before other people would start acknowledging me for it. I've been on my personal development journey for about 6 years now. In those 6 years, I've really challenged myself to grow and to step into who am I, right? Who am I? What do I stand for? What is Chris Burns, this gift to the world? How am I a gift to the world? How do I contribute? How do I serve? How do I want people to feel around me? How do I want people to feel about themselves around me? How do I want people to remember me? So that question and designing that and creating that and taking action on that has been one of my biggest priorities over the last 6 years since I started personal development. I started getting an idea and understanding something like this. So it's incredible. It's incredible that we are a function of how people see us or how we think they see us. So how can you actually take action on this? Let's get more tactical, okay? Before I talk to you about integrity, if you're feeling like you're lacking power, you're not doing what you said you were going to do, you are challenged with your outcomes, your goals, what's important to you? If you feel like you're hitting walls, the very first place to look would be where am I out of integrity? Where am I not doing the thing that I said I was going to do? Where am I not doing the thing that I know I'm supposed to do? Maybe you didn't promise anyone, but you just know you're supposed to be out there selling. You're supposed to be out there sending messages. You're supposed to be creating content for your social media. Where are you not doing what you know is expected of you, or what others expect of you, what you expect of yourself? Really get clear on that. If you're lacking power, if you're lacking your creation ability, get clear on that and what's been missing, what integrity, what follow through, honoring your promises has been missing, so that you can actually show up and correct those areas and really get your power back, because you change your identity. You change how you see and know yourself when you do those things. When you show up and take the actions that are uncomfortable, you don't want to do them, you've been putting them off, you've been procrastinating, different things like that. When you show up and resolve those things, get your oil changed, go register your car, whatever that is. When you show up and you do those things, your identity starts to shift. How you know yourself starts to shift. You get your power back, and you get back into integrity with yourself and what you know to do. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing is regarding how other people relate to you and see you. When you show up and you take on those conversations that are difficult, that are scary, that, there's people who just keep talking trash about you, whatever, and you get those things complete. The unresolved communications, you're filled with resent, you're filled with guilt, you're filled with suffering because you didn't say something that you wanted to say. You know that you're supposed to show up and say, you're supposed to tell your mom, like, Mom, I'm not okay with how you treat me at, Thanksgiving or Christmas. Sister, you've been talking trash on me for so many years, and I won't tolerate it anymore. Tolerating people putting toxicity into your space, that's out of integrity, because you're not taking care of your well-being. You know better. You know that you're meant to be empowered and uplifted, and if you're allowing other people into your space who are toxic, you're able to really shine and show up. Petya says it's amazing when we can go deep into the uncomfortable conversations, being ourselves, staying true to our values. Absolutely. Yes. 100% Petya. Woohoo! Love it. Love it. Love it. Great conversation. So really diving into how do you take this on, you go confront the conversation that is not true, right? You may not be able to, at the end of the day, change someone's perspective or opinion, but the fact that you go stand up to them and the fact that you take on the uncomfortable conversation to change it is super, super important. And like that will define who you are and how you see yourself. When you recognize that you are a function of how other people see you, you're a function of your word, giving your word, being in integrity. That's all. This is also integrity. Being a reflection of how other people see and feel about you. You're a reflection of that. That is integrity. Okay. If I say I'm Chris Burns, I'm my greatest possible self, and I have someone over here who says, Chris Burns, you're not that. You are, you suck at planting flowers, right? I love having fun. You suck at planting flowers. You're a terrible gardener. I'm gonna go confront that person. I'm gonna say, who the heck do you think you are? Why are you saying that? You don't know how I garden. Show me evidence that I'm a terrible gardener, right? And then they say it, and they keep spewing that toxicity. Maybe I'm not able to change their perspective, their opinion. I say, listen, your opinion is yours. I don't care what you think. I am me. And how I am, who I am, is an amazing freaking gardener. And I show up and I raise beautiful plants, and no matter what you think or say, does not affect or impact me. And if they keep trying to spew toxicity, then you kick them out of your life. You disconnect, you disassociate, you get complete on the relationship, and you say, listen, I leave you in peace. Like, you are clearly on a different path than me. I wish you the best in life. I hope you have tons of happiness and joy. And it's clear we're not meant to be on this path together. All right, so get complete on that. If you have family members who are toxic, who are, they're saying things that disempower and bring you down, you have to challenge and confront them on those things. You have to get complete. You have to say, hey, what's the source of this? You have people, relatives who gossip. Confront them on their gossip. Say, hey, I heard you do this. Or if they're gossiping about someone else, confront them that they're gossiping about someone else. Say, hey, if you want to tell that person, go tell them. If you want to record this conversation, let's record it. Otherwise, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about something that's empowering. Okay, so you really get to confront them on that. And Petya says, it's not about changing someone. It's about showing others example of what it looks and feels like living a life of truth and integrity. People can see in others only what they themselves have. Yeah, so true. So true, Petya. I really feel and believe that when you take on these tough conversations, like I've taken on with my dad and parents, when they saw me in a different way than I saw myself. I saw myself as this amazing, powerful, years ago, I saw myself as this amazing, powerful, motivational speaker, and I wasn't there yet. And they still had a vision of me that I was this little kid. And so I had to confront them on that and say, here's who I am. I'm Chris Burns, America's #1 motivational speaker for fiery inspiration. I'm a powerhouse. And I coach people and I make a fucking difference in their life. And if you don't agree with that, if you're not in alignment with that, great. That's your perspective. I don't care what you think. I don't give a flying duck. I don't give a flying funk what you think. Your opinion is yours. I don't own it. I don't own your judgments, your opinion, your perspective. It's yours. And here's who I am. Here's what you can count on me for. So it's really powerful when you're able to stand for what you believe in and share your perspective, share your truth, share who you are. And it might be uncomfortable at first. If you're not used to doing it, if you're not used to really standing up for yourself and showing people who you are and what you're committed to, and this is like a new side of you that you're developing, it can really be challenging. I know for me, I was a recovering people pleaser, and being someone who always wanted to have people be comfortable. So I recognize that's totally not serving people. It's totally not serving my loved ones, because we all want to grow. We all want to grow. Not all of us are willing to do what it takes to grow, but we all want to grow. We all want to grow in our happiness, our fulfillment, our, like being able to be a contribution, be of service to people, our intelligence, the love. We all want more love. We all want more happiness, more money, more, travel, adventure, freedom. We all want those things. And what are we willing to do to get it? That's the real question. Jacina says, it becomes incongruent with our personal belief. Bless them and let it go. That's right. That's right, Jacina. You get to say, hey, I love you, and I don't give a duck what you think. Keep shining. Keep up the great work. I'm here if you want to have a different conversation about this, if you want to really look at it and shift your perspective. Like, I want to show you what I see, and if you're not willing to budge or entertain it, then, there's no point in continuing this conversation. There's people in your life who are willing to see you as your greatest self. Hello. And everyone who comes on this show is willing to see you as your best self. And if you're not willing to confront the conversation and have conversations with bigger people who see you as your greatness, then it's clear you're more committed to staying stuck or in your victim mentality than actually breaking through. And I know if you're tuning into this, you're really committed to your breakthroughs. You're really committed to making a difference in this specific area, and you can do it. You have the power, you're capable, you're enough, you're worthy, you deserve it, all of those things. So why don't you, right now, think to yourself, who am I? What am I committed to? And where am I lacking integrity? Think about that right now. If you have a pen and paper, if you have your phone, take some time to ask, who am I? What am I committed to? That's the same question pretty much. Who am I and what am I committed to? And where am I out of integrity? And what's an action you can take? What's a conversation you can take on? Who can you go share your perspective? Share your truth. Share what you stand for with to create a new perspective for them, to heal that relationship, to heal that out of integrity for you. Think about it right now. And if you're taking notes or writing things down, begin finishing up. Awesome. 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 And let's come back to this so we can wrap up and get you to your next amazing conversation with integrity, with power, with taking on something that really has you grow and expand. So we covered a couple different things in this, especially integrity, state of whole, complete, and perfectness. Remember, you're always working on integrity. There's always going to be places that are out of integrity, places where you know you could be doing better, right? There's always going to be room for growth. There's always something to be working on. So it's great. And like, you get to be at peace knowing that you're doing your best, knowing that you're taking these on every day to restore that power for yourself. Honoring your promises, honoring what you said you were going to do, following through on that, super, super important. Doing the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, that others expect you to do, or if it's something that isn't in alignment with your greatest possible self, and someone expects you to do it, but you're not going to do it, don't just leave it up to, them getting the short end of the stick and being like brokenhearted or disappointed or thinking that you aren't someone who follows through. Confront them on it. Confront the conversation. Say, hey, that's not what I'm committed to. This doesn't work. Let's create workability. Let's create a different solution. Let's create seeing things from the same perspective. Or, if at the very worst or the last resort, so to speak, you could say, hey, it's clear we're not going to see things on the same page. Let's indeed agree to disagree and go our separate ways. And I just wish you the best, and you can see it from your perspective. I'm going to see it from mine. It's clear we're not able to meet halfway or create some kind of alignment or agreement. We did our best. Okay? And then as long as you know you did your best, as long as you know that you showed up and you confronted the uncomfortable and you took on what you felt was not in integrity with you, then you will be at peace. Your soul, your mind will be at peace because you did your best. And there might be other room for growth, and you might kick yourself in the pants after the fact of you doing one of these challenging conversations. I highly recommend talking to someone before, like a coach or accountability partner, before you have one of these tough conversations, to prepare how you want to show up in the conversation. Don't just go charging into a difficult conversation like this. You really want to be present with your commitment in the relationship. I don't want to say strategize, because you don't want to be like strategic and manipulating and come with all this prepared strategy and that kind of thing. You just want to know what you stand for in the conversation. Role playing is good as well. Just demonstrating the conversation, seeing how you'll show up with someone else is super powerful. So I highly recommend that. That'll be a great benefit to you as well. And if you have any challenges or want to grow in this specific area of mastering your integrity and your word, I personally have a lot of room to grow, and we all do. Okay, so I love helping people on it as well. I'm also, as much as I have personal room for growth, I'm very, very experienced with this as well. And I love helping people to get clear on where they are in integrity and where they're out of integrity so they can get power back. So if that's something that you want to take on to be able to grow, then I'm here for you. I'm here to empower you and uplift you and give you that juice to be able to take on these difficult conversations. And it'll be a lot of fun, definitely. And we'll grow together. So you can get in contact with me. Send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com. Bethia says we all get to keep growing. That's right, 100%. So send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com. Find me on Facebook. Let me know you're growing in this, and I'd be happy to help you. I'm amazing at coaching people with this specific area and giving you that juice that you are looking for. It's a lot of fun, definitely. So that is the completion. Thank you so much for tuning in.